Hi guys,
Hi.
I'm Sebastian Rodriguez. This is my wife Christine. We are Ninth Island Connection. Welcome to our channel. If you haven't visited our channel before, please subscribe. We host and produce a weekly television show that airs twice weekly here in Hawaii, once on K5, once on KGMB, 3 times a week on Your View Channel 14, Cox Cable in Las Vegas. Look below, you'll see the listings there and where you can catch our show. So,
Also have to introduce Carlos. He likes to photobomb all of our videos. If you've seen any of our videos, you likely have seen Carlos, and he actually also caps off the end of our show.
yep. So, exciting news. Those of you that don't know, we live in Hawaii, which is why we host and produce a lifestyle show about Las Vegas. Hawaii has a deep connection to Las Vegas. It's actually referred to as the Ninth Island. So naturally, we travel back and forth very frequently to Las Vegas to shoot footage for our channel here, as well as the 30-minute television show that I host and we produce that airs weekly. So for that reason, we've been keeping a very close eye on the travel quarantine. So today is October 15th. Some of you would have watched our previous video that we did around the 7th, I believe, where we had kind of a progress update towards this pre-travel testing program that is still confusing, but it's less confusing than it was 8 days ago. So we do have some big updates that we're going to share with you guys, all of you that have been thinking about coming to Hawaii, and those of you currently in Hawaii that have been thinking about traveling to Vegas and what it might be like when you come back to Hawaii. So let's get right into it. We've got a lot to cover, so Christine and I will both be looking at notes to make sure that we don't forget anything.
There's a lot, so we don't want to miss any of the details. So fortunately, today's the day the Safe Travel Program has begun. We've been waiting for this for a very long time, so we're
How
very
many
excited.
times do you think it was delayed?
It was supposed to happen in August, then September. Then we thought maybe October 1st. So we're really excited that it's actually finally happening. But so if you're gonna come here, just know that the islands that you're able to travel to right now are Oahu, Kauai, and Maui. Maui County.
Maui County. So Maui County is actually 3 islands. Oahu is the most populated island. That's where we live. We have just over 1 million people on the island of Oahu.
Yeah. And so if you're coming here, the first step that you want to do is you want to go to travel.hawaii.gov and you need to set up your Safe Travel account. It's going to require you to register all your information, your trip details, but that's definitely step 1. And then step 2, 72 hours prior to your arrival into Hawaii, you are going to need to get that NAAT test that we talked about previously.
The one that I couldn't pronounce.
Yeah, just stick with the NAAT. It's a lot easier than trying to say the full thing. At there's 17 partners now, which is amazing because when they first were talking about this, there were like 2. So now there's 17 partners. We shared on our previous video. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. It will post those partners on the screen, as well as the new partners are Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Bartell Drugs, and Port of Oakland. But at all these places, like we said in our last video, make sure you make an appointment in advance. You don't want to just show up and then not be able to get your test.
And one other thing is, as far as the travel testing partners, that's changed daily. Every single day up until this point, there has been additional partners added to the Trusted Testing Partner Program. We should have an acronym for that as well. So I'm sure that by the time you're watching this, we will probably have more trusted travel partners. So best to make sure that you check the website, because all of the partners are not across the entire United States. So depending on where you're coming from, you may not have a trusted travel testing partner near you. So be sure to make sure you, be sure to check the website.
But yeah, definitely, it has to be those trusted partners. It can't be like, oh, I went into my local clinic or my doctor and they gave me the type of test that was required. It has to be somebody that's partnered with the state of Hawaii. So make sure that's a trusted partner and make sure it's that NAAT test. So then 24 hours prior to your flight, you're gonna go into your account that you set up for your Safe Travel account, and you're going to upload the negative test result. Now, if you have a positive test result, you're not going to be able to come to Hawaii, or you're going to quarantine.
You're going to have to
while
quarantine
you're in
once you
Hawaii.
get here for 14 days. So.
Yep. So see you, Carlos. And then you'll get a QR code. So you're going to need that QR code because when you arrive at the airport, there's going to be two lines. There's going to be the people who did not get the test. They're going to go into a different line, and they're going to have to do the 14-day quarantine. Where they can't leave wherever they're staying for 14 days. They can't interact with anybody.
Complete isolation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not fun. We've done it twice. I would highly recommend the other line, which would be those who have got the pre-travel testing done.
Welcome. Come this way.
That's where you'll need to share that QR code, and I would recommend also just making sure that you have your negative test results with you at all times, because if you look like a tourist, people may ask you if you're violating quarantine, because we have had tourists come here and violate the 14-day quarantine, and then they end up on the news with their mugshots, and you have court cases and fees. So it's not pleasant.
Not a good situation that you want to be in.
Yeah, so just make sure you have those on hand.
We know that at least one of the major car rental agencies will be requiring proof of the negative test result when you're renting a vehicle there. So check everything. If you're going to rent a car, check with the car rental agency to see if they will require proof on your phone as well.
Questions, or as you're going through this process, 1-800-GO-HAWAII is the phone number that you can contact for any questions, or you can go to the website hawaiicovid19.com. Hawaii, there are popular islands that people typically travel to: Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and Hawaii, the Big Island. So the Big Island,
unfortunately, as of today, again, today, October 15th, 2020, the Big Island is not participating in the pre-travel testing program. Good news is Oahu, Maui, and Kauai are all on board with the pre-travel testing program. Yay! So 72 hours prior to your departure, you get a test, negative, upload your results the day of, or 24 hours before your arrival in Hawaii, update your results. You arrive here, show proof, good to go. Now, on Oahu, they will be having surveillance testing up to 10% of all arrivals on the 4th day of their arrival. So I know that's a lot to take in. If you want to get more specifics on exactly how that's going to work, make sure you visit the website.
It's random, so it's not like you get to sign up and and volunteer for it or opt out of it. It's just they're going to let you know randomly, hey, 4 days into your trip, you need to have another test done.
And that's on Oahu. Now on Maui and Kauai, they will have voluntary testing free when you arrive. So if you just want to make sure, once you arrive, you can get a test for free when you arrive on Maui and Kauai. So,
and it's not right at the airport. It won't be at the airport, so don't expect you're going to get off the plane in Maui and Kauai and get a test. But they will give you that information of where you're able to go on the island to take that voluntary test, which is free. That won't cost you anything. The surveillance test on Oahu is not going to cost you anything as well.
They are working on a voluntary secondary test once you arrive in Hawaii for Oahu that will be located at the airport, but they haven't figured out the exact logistics on where that would be at the airport. But when they do launch that here on Oahu, the voluntary secondary test, once you arrive on the island of Oahu, that will be at the airport, and there will likely be signage and folks there to help you there if you wanted to get a voluntary second test. No cost to you, 100% voluntary. Regardless of the voluntary test, 10% of the arrivals will still be randomly tested. So theoretically, you could get a pre-travel test, you could land here, take a voluntary second test. You could still be part of that 10% to be tested again 4 days later. So really up to you. That's why it's called voluntary. So
the other thing that they are talking about, it's obviously down the road, but having a post-travel testing program set up at the airport where you would not have to get that test prior to coming. You could actually get it at the airport when you arrive in Honolulu, and which would be great. And this was kind of for the mayor kind of gave the example, if someone goes to Vegas for 3 days for a long weekend from Hawaii, they may not have the time to get that test done, and then therefore would have to quarantine. But this way, if there were a program in place like this, you could get that post-testing and get your results back and know if you were negative or if you're positive and had to quarantine.
Right.
So
people like to come to Hawaii and have multiple vacations. We talked earlier about each island having its own charm and its own speed and really its own lifestyle. So people do like to come to Oahu, do Pearl Harbor, see Diamond Head, hit Waikiki Beach, and then take off to Kauai for a super secluded vacation for a couple of days. That is not going to happen. The neighbor islands, if you're traveling inter-island, you will still have to do the pre-travel testing. So if you were looking to come here, say Tuesday through Friday, go to Maui Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday, you wouldn't qualify for the pre-travel test because it wouldn't meet the 72-hour window. So in short, there are a lot of moving parts. We're super excited that this actually happened. We're so excited for all of you and selfishly for us because we're heading back to Vegas at the end of the month and we don't want to have to deal with the whole quarantine situation again.
And we'll know and we'll actually share that as well. We don't know at this point because you're here in Hawaii on this end of it, but we don't know how easy it is to access those tests, how the whole process goes, and so we will be documenting that as well and sharing that with all of you guys when we get back.
Yep. So stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to do another update video just to talk about our experience traveling back to Hawaii from fabulous Las Vegas.
And one thing to expect as well when you come to Hawaii is currently we are in the first tier still. The possible move into tier 2 would be the next Thursday, so the 22nd of October, which gives a little more leeway with what you can and can't do. For example, currently in restaurants, it's 5 people from the same household. If we move into the next tier next week, it will be 5 people from multiple households, but just 5 people. Masks are still required everywhere, but that's just kind of what you can expect. There are still a lot of restrictions. So again, look on the website. That HawaiiCovid19.com website is fantastic for answering any questions that you may have.
Also, the Honolulu Travel Authority, that's the group that manages the hotels and really the visitor industry here on the island of Oahu. All of the hotels, all of the staff, everybody, regardless of their position, is up to speed on this entire process. What the process is at restaurants, what's open, what's closed, what you can and cannot do. So you have a lot of opportunities to ask questions before you get here. And this situation is changing every single day. So do your research before you get here. We've put all of the information up on the screen in terms of websites and travel partners. Look below in the description. We're going to put links to the websites and everything there as well. And as always, if you guys have questions, which I'm sure you will, comment below. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, like this here, leave us a comment. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you guys. Aloha.